This reaction is very common. It highlights this prevalent misconception that often leads many professionals to overlook the benefits of a very clear and a robust communication strategy. A comprehensive communication strategy for personal branding, it involves a lot of elements such as messaging framework, content calendar, media relations plan, social media tactics, partnerships, collaborations with others. They even have crisis communication procedures, and details, just so that you make sure that the personal brand is really well shaped. So it's very important to note that this strategic approach, it's not exclusive to organizations only. It is equally applicable and beneficial for an individual as well. So always remember, it's your brand, it's your story.
This is Let's Make Waves podcast. I'm your host, Rana Al-Basri Marwan, and I believe that we're all here to make waves. I created this podcast to help you build your brand by sharing with you tools, resources, and strategies to gain professional authority for better business opportunities. If you want to get unstuck, you've come to the right place. Let's get started.
I recently had a conversation with a client, a senior executive in a C-suite position, who was keen on fortifying his position as a go-to expert, thought leader in his industry. The discussion revolved around the importance of doubling down on a robust communication strategy tailored specifically for him. To put it simply, a communication strategy is a detailed plan. It outlines how this organization effectively communicates with its target audience. So it encompasses the identifying key messages, selecting appropriate communication channels, divesting tactics for effective or efficient message delivery. Consideration is given to the audience needs, preferences, and communication habits. So, along with the organization's objectives and available resources, these two have to be balanced. So, a well-crafted strategy can significantly contribute to achieving goals, whether it is whether it's increasing brand awareness, driving sales, shaping public opinion, whatever it is. So as I was explaining the benefits of taking the time to put together a communication strategy for him, he quickly interrupted, expressing that he didn't really perceive himself as complex as just like an organization, and believed that in his particular case, publicity, PR would suffice. This reaction is very common. It highlights this prevalent misconception that often leads many professionals to overlook the benefits of a very clear and a robust communication strategy. A comprehensive communication strategy for personal branding, it involves a lot of elements such as messaging framework, content calendar, media relations plan, social media tactics, partnerships, collaborations with others. They even have crisis communication procedures, and details, just so that you make sure that the personal brand is really well shaped. So it's very important to note that this strategic approach, it's not exclusive to organizations only. It is equally applicable and beneficial for an individual as well. So always remember, it's your brand, it's your story. So today, in this episode, I'd like to outline the various tools in the toolbox of a communication strategy tailored specifically when you're building your personal brand. But here's a caveat. Before we delve into any specifics, I'd just like to acknowledge that a very good detailed communication strategy, it's like a precision tool, it cannot be condensed in today's episode. So what we're going to be focusing on today is the fundamental outline, what's relevant to crafting a personal brand within this episode's time frame. Okay? So what does a communication strategy for a personal brand encompass? All right, let's start from there. Let's navigate those waters a little bit. Now, there are key points to what a communication strategy has for a personal brand. There's the first one is defining the target audience. We have to start from there. And how do we define it? It's with a deep dive into the specifics of the audience, painting a very detailed picture of the people that you aim to reach. This is understanding the different forms of the strategy, the cornerstone. This is going to be the cornerstone. The second one is developing a brand message. So, this is where you craft key messages that will put together your values, expertise, unique selling points. So, make these messages very clear. They they can resonate easily with your target audience. The third is building an online presence. And this is important because it's important to establish a digital hub for your brand. So whether through it's a professional website, social media profile, blogs, digital portfolio, you have to create platforms to amplify your message and your work. The fourth is leveraging content marketing. So let's embrace the fun part of the strategy. So this is where you use diverse content forms, blogs, podcasts, videos, infographics, whatever you can use to communicate, educate, and engage with your audience in a very effective format. The fifth point is networking and collaboration. Now, this is where your personality will take the spotlight in the strategy. This is where you attend events, join industry groups, collaborate with other professionals, and basically immerse yourself in online communities. So it's not just in person, it's also online. And this is where you expand your network and you build meaningful connections. The sixth is influencer marketing. Now, whenever it's feasible, partner with the right influencers in your industry. And this is not only a way to broaden your reach, but it will also add a layer of credibility through this kind of association. Now, as we think about those elements that I just spoke to you about, remember that the real magic happens when you infuse authenticity, when there is consistency, and there is actual genuine engagement between you and your audience. So let's explore that more with further nuances that we can add to this plan. First, it's measure and adjust. You have to equip your strategy with very clear KPIs, key performance indicators, because this will allow you to track your performance. This is the way for you to ensure that you can make the necessary adjustments that will help you to meet your goals. Another point, it's testimonials and reviews. And this is where you connect with your audience on a very personal level, where you gather feedback through testimonials, reviews, case studies. And it's not only a way to build credibility, but it's also to build and to foster that trust between you and between your audience. Okay, so while all of these points that I've just mentioned, they become the backbone of your communication strategy, it's important to consider some other essential elements that can sometimes be overlooked. So those additional elements could be, for example, authenticity and consistency. And this is where you need to double down, where you can infuse your brand with authenticity. Be genuine, be consistent, avoid any kind of false claims or any kind of misleading messages. Another point that could be ignored or forgotten would be the cross-channel consistency. So this is where you maintain consistency across all the channels and all the platforms that you're using. And this is where your brand should resonate seamlessly, regardless where your audience are engaging with you. And, on the point of engagement, another point that is sometimes forgotten is the active engagement. And this is where you're present, you're active on your platforms, you regularly engage with your audience, you respond to any kind of feedback, answer any questions promptly. I'd like to include also storytelling techniques. techniques. And this is where you harness the power of storytelling when you're communicating your personal brand. And this is where you craft a narrative that will make your brand relatable, memorable. This is where it connects. As I wrap up this episode, I really hope that it kind of provided you with some kind of clarity on crafting a communication strategy, in the sense that it's an outline, for your personal brand. As a brand and communication strategist myself, I understand the intricate dance of creating and implementing these strategies to elevate your brand. So whether you're going solo as a professional, or you're going to seek support from a mentor, it's very important to also base it on market research. You identify your unique selling proposition, and of course, don't forget the cohesive visuals that you will be using. Thank you so much for joining me. Please feel free to connect with me through the links in my show notes. Please share your thoughts. I'd love to hear from you. And of course, as always, please don't forget to subscribe, review, and share this podcast with anyone you know who might find it valuable. Until next week, take care, stay inspired, and keep making waves. Bye.